mistakes students have is some of the example would be like the bank statement. You must have at least 3 months of a valid bank statement if you want to provide the most recent document. So those are some of the mistakes that I see, but most of the students are pretty, after we consult them, they're pretty good at getting the proper documents for us. So the sponsor could be here in the US, or for example, student might be their parent, they might be in their country. That's also fine.
This podcast is all about helping international students navigate the process of studying in the US, particularly through the F-1 visa route. Welcome to another episode of the F-1 Journey podcast. I'm Francesco, and today I'm with our amazing DSO, Julia.
Hi, nice to meet everybody.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
Good, busy, as always.
I know, I can imagine.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. Busy as well, but good. I have a few questions for you. Okay, so can you introduce yourself first and explain your role as a DSO at Amlotus?
Sure. So my name is Julia. I'm the DSO and director at Amlotus Career School. And as DSO, what we do is we look at different immigration-related issues regarding F-1 status. So things that I do daily is I look at transfer in records, I look at transfer out records, change of status. I do consultation with students, whoever they have immigration questions or issues.
And there are more like responsibility a DSO has when it comes to assisting international students?
So when we assist students, some of those questions that they have is, I want to bring my wife from my country. How can I do that with my F-1 status? In that case, I would let them know they could do F-2, which is dependent application. So that process is our school. I could help guide through that process. So some of the rules like this, we try to assist with their students regarding their immigration.
How does Amlotus support students through the F-1 visa journey?
Visa's journey, for example, extending their program. So every now and so when the students want to achieve higher level in their English language in our school, they'll need to extend their I-20. In that case, what I would do is I would ask them for bank statement, and then we review the bank statement, make sure it's legitimate and has enough money so that they can financially support themselves or through a sponsor. That's one of the things that we look at in terms of how they can maintain a good status as F-1 students in our school.
Great, amazing. So let's try to go a little bit deeper into the process. Can you walk us through the F-1 visa application process step by step?
Sure. So when students come, or most likely if you're overseas, you would email the school, right? And when the students email, we try to set up interview time with the student. This happens usually virtually for students who are in overseas. If they're here in US already, they want to transfer to our school, we ask them to come visit the school, and we give them a simple information such as the school tuition or program, how long it is, what the vacation requirements are, what our academic requirements are. After that, we ask students if they're interested for admission documents such as their passport, their visa, bank statement, minimum high school diploma, etc. With that information, we give students acceptance letter, and they submit the acceptance letter to the either new school or the previous school that they were at. And once they get released to our school, then we contact the school to take placement tests, etc., so that we could place them in the class. So that is a usual transfer in process. Overseas process, like I've said before, students will reach out to us through email, and we will have an interview with them virtually, and we will ask them to send us a certain document so that we could ensure these are proper documents that the students have. After that, we create an I-20 so that student could, get that document and then go to the embassy for the interview so that they could get a visa to come to the United States and study at our school.
What are the common mistakes students make when applying for the F-1 visa?
Some of the mistakes students have is, some of the example would be like the bank statement. So the bank statement would be kind of old. So in our school, you must have at least 3 months of valid bank statement. It can't, for example, if today, this month is April, they cannot give me bank statement from like August last year. Some students don't know that regulations. So when they bring those bank statements, we let them know that these are the protocols at our school or at really anywhere, any institutions that they go to in the US. You want to provide the most recent document. So those are some of the mistakes that I see, but most of the students are pretty after we consult them, they're pretty good at getting the proper documents for us.
Is the sponsor need to be in the US or outside the US? It's fine.
Both is fine. So the sponsor could be here in the US, or for example, student might be their parent, they might be in their country. That's also fine. We just want to make sure this is a proper bank with legitimate amount that could support their stays and the tuition in the US.
Great. What factors can lead to a visa denial, and how can students improve their chance of approval?
Yeah, so visa denials could happen in a few different cases. One of them that I keep emphasizing is their bank statement. Like if they don't have enough money that they said they have, that could be a problem. Also kind of violating the regulation of F-1 visa. So after they finish their study period here in the US, they must go back to their country. But some students lack information in that area while they do interview. So that could be one of the reasons why they could get denials. So at our school, we give a lot of consultations to our students to make sure that they have proper evidence when they go to do interviews at the embassy to get their F-1 visa.
The F-1 visa status comes with some responsibilities. So once the students arrive in the US, what are the most important rules they must follow in order to keep their status?
Sure. As soon as they enter the United States, within 30 days, they must report that they arrived in the US to their new school and preferably start the class at the next available session. So that is a rule that a lot of students don't really understand when they come to US. And I've seen some students from other schools, due to that reason, they were terminated, meaning that their F-1 record is no longer valid, and they came to our school for reinstatement and they had to explain why they were terminated. So I just want to take this opportunity to let our viewers know that when you come into the United States, you must report and your arrival to US within the 30 days and start the class as soon as you can.
And as you mentioned, sometimes it can happen that the students is going to lose the status. So there is a way that they can regain it?
Yes, there is a way that they can regain their F-1 status. Is through reinstatement. Being terminated is always a lot of procedure, and it's really unnecessary if you could have prevented that. So make sure everybody is responsible of their F-1 status.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation. And regarding that, of course, there are the attendants that play like a big role in the status. So can you tell us a little bit more about this and what students can do to maintain their attendance as high as they can?
Yeah, sure. So attendance is obviously one of the biggest roles within maintaining your F-1 status. I say that because as an F-1 student, you must maintain a full-time study. So attendance plays a big part of the role because you must maintain your full-time study at an institution that your F-1 record is at.
Regarding that, is a F-1 student allowed to doing online classes?
It depends on the school. So during COVID time, a lot of the schools were allowed to do online classes or hybrid classes. However, we're no longer in COVID. Thanks God, right? We're out of that process. So many of the schools like ours switched to fully in person. Our school personally, we are fully in person. Some schools like colleges, they do allow, I believe, one class of online class and rest has to be in person. It really depends on the institution and what type of curriculum that they got approved. But at our school, we require 100% in-person instruction.
Great. Do you have any advice for students that are preparing to a visa interview?
Yeah, so if the student is applying for visa interview, like I said before, make sure you have all your evidence lined up correctly. So make sure your intention is clear with all the evidence provided, and just be, confident, relaxed. It's just, interview, you're talking with someone to, provide your case. As long as, you're not making any fraudulent movement, then you should be fine.
Great. And should we clarify that a F-1 student is not allowed to work in the US?
Yes, for the most part, F-1 students are not allowed to work in the US outside of their campus. So if you're working on campus, up to 20 hours, which is part-time, is allowed for F-1 students, but not all schools have this opportunity. It depends on the school if they even are going to hire the students. So, but outside of campus is absolutely illegal, and students cannot work outside of campus part-time, full-time, or anytime.
Great. Do you have any final advice to give to our audience and students?
Sure. So the final advice for all my students is to enjoy the process. This process may be rigorous and may be difficult at times, but our school is here to guide you the correct and efficient way for you to get your F1 status and how to maintain your F1 status correctly here in the US. We also encourage a lot of students to when they come to New York City, enjoy the culture. We have a very diverse culture, so don't stay in your room, afraid to go out, socialize, go out, have fun, and just don't get hurt. Like New York City is also chaotic, so you don't want to get hurt in the streets. Make sure the bus is not, running you down, but really enjoy the process, enjoy the culture, and you'll be just fine.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any question, you can reach us through our website, lotus.edu, via WhatsApp and social medias. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much.